What's up, everyone? Jim and Eric sitting in for Terry this week, keeping it real here. We're going to be talking about Suicide Squad, Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man Homecoming, and the Batman. So a lot to actually dive into.
CinemaCon.
CinemaCon, a show I usually go to, but not this year. So a lot of things are happening there.
Yeah.
Let's start with some Batman news that came out. It's been rumored to be called The Batman, but it is the solo Batman film, and Warner Brothers confirmed this week that, yes, they're actually making it, and Ben Affleck will not only star, he will also direct the Batman movie. I think that's fantastic. Eric, what do you think?
No, I completely agree. I mean, look, no matter how Batman versus Superman was received, they were going to want to get back to solo Batman movies, clearly. As someone who didn't like Batman vs. Superman, I thought Affleck as Batman was great, and he's a great director. So this is a win-win for me. One of my biggest issues with the DC movie universe is I don't think Snyder's working well with it. But yeah, if you take one of the best aspects of that movie and you take a guy who's now has a proven track record as a director,
directed a Best Picture winner.
Yeah, what's not to like about that? I mean, I think that's a win for everyone.
That's a huge coup for them, and it does. It makes you wonder to what sort of Batman movie could he make. We have a feature up on the site that we actually originally published back at last year's Comic-Con when the news broke that he was writing it with Jeff Johns.
Right, but not confirmed by DC at the time.
Not confirmed. In fact, they were like, don't even ask about it.
Yeah.
But it's all true. Now I'm mixing my franchises.
It's okay. I just said Marvel by accident. So,
so obviously, bringing in Affleck to direct now, his style is not like Zack Snyder's.
No.
And I'm sure there will be a lot of visual effects involved because he has spoken about basically learning from Snyder doing this film. But I think aesthetically and stylistically, it's going to be very different from both David Ayer, who's directing Suicide Squad, and Snyder's DC movies. I would hope it would be almost a bit more visceral and kinetic, and that sort of like the way the town had that stuff. But also, he gets good performances out of people, so I think it's going to be a really fascinating.
Yeah, it'll be cool because look, one of the things in Batman vs Superman, they pointedly only introduced Alfred of a supporting cast. We know Jenna Malone will be in the longer R-rated cut as Barbara Gordon, but there's still plenty of room to introduce like more of the world.
And J.K. Simmons is going to be in there.
Yeah.
I almost said J.K. Rowling. J.K. Simmons is Commissioner Gordon in
bold.
Justice League Part 1. I'm telling you, she's the new Harley Quinn.
She's
Sorry,
already
Margot
connected
Robbie.
to Warner Brothers.
Exactly. But I think it'd be really interesting to see what sort of direction they go with that. Do you think they'll do that Red Hood story? Do their sort of Winter Soldier? That's been the rumor.
It's hard, because they did introduce, again, it's interesting. They introduced a Batman that had been around for 20 years. And all we know is that he's been through a lot, that something happened to Wayne Manor, something happened to Robin, that he's dealt with the Joker. So Red Hood is one way they could go, but I don't know, it's so similar to Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't see that being the story they'd start with. Like, I think they have to sort of start with something different.
And you think, what do you think about rumors that, maybe Will Smith's Deadshot could be in there?
I think certainly we're going to see some of that crossover. I mean, or you could even have him have a, if they want to do the pre-credit taking down Killer Croc sequence or something like that. I loved Batman's one big fight scene in Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah.
I was frustrated it took about 2 hours to get to it. But it was great. It was very much like sort of the Arkham games, and like you were saying, visceral and very in there. So I hope that this movie can really expand on that sort of fighting style they've established for this Batman. And Affleck's really done such impressive work as a director. That's what really revitalized his career. That this is an exciting thing to have him directing this movie.
Now, another kind of thing that we saw this week related to the DCEU is the new Suicide Squad trailer, which is more Joker, but it's definitely, there have been the reports that, they were going to go back and do reshoots for humor, and we had heard, and then later came out that no, they were doing it for action sequences. And even at CinemaCon, the Suicide Squad cast was there, and it does look like Jay Hernandez as Diablo was probably involved because his head's shaved again.
Right.
And even Jared Leto, I think, might be back because his eyebrows look like they get really tweezed down so they could do like the Joker thing again.
Yeah.
And he shaved off his beard. So when he goes to see the barber,
yes,
he's about to get all Jokery.
It's Joker time. I will say, I thought it was a fun trailer. I definitely think, look, I'm sure they are seeing how well Deadpool did. People were already saying, oh, this is kind of their Guardians of the Galaxy, which I get to an extent because it's like the quirky misfit team.
Right.
But also, we're going to see a lot of after effects of Deadpool and discuss that. So I almost see this trailer leaning into that more, the like irreverent, like
I wonder if they will just throw caution in the wind and put out an R-rated cut as well.
It would be much more appropriate than a Superman movie having an R-rated cut
right.
is to have Suicide Squad get one. I don't think every joke in that trailer landed. I wish it ended on I kind of thought that way at the very end with the water joke. But overall, I thought the tone is great. I think that I've loved all 3 trailers for this movie. I was more excited about this movie than Batman vs Superman before I saw Batman vs Superman, and I still am. It looks like a cool. Even though I don't love every visual choice, the Joker's look is still a hard sell on me. The movie itself, I think, looks like it could be really sort of exciting and
well,
cool.
let's talk about the Joker. Jared Leto, doing press this week at CinemaCon, and we found out that not only has he sent a dead pig and a live rat to his cast members, including notes and all that, but he also sent anal beads and used condoms.
Which begs the question.
Which I gave to you for your 10th anniversary at IGN, so thank you, Jeff,
you.
for stealing my bit.
Which, people are saying he was very method, but I'm like, what Joker story is that?
Do you remember the Killing Joke when he's like, and now for your anal beads?
And you use condoms.
Yeah.
That's interesting. The method thing is always weird. It's easy to be judgmental from the outside. I'm not an actor. I don't want to like judge your process. That's pretty out there though. I would think some actors, I can't imagine Will Smith being pretty happy if he got used condoms. And there's some,
hell no.
There's some, So I think Jared might need to temper that a little bit as they continue on with these movies that I'm sure, obviously he's going to be facing Batman again, in more
I can't see Ben Affleck putting up with that crap.
No.
Ben Affleck's like 6'4".
Yeah, so I'm guessing.
I have a feeling that's not going to happen.
Right. So maybe he can get away with it on Suicide Squad, but maybe he went all in because he knew he couldn't do it as he works with some of these bigger stars on these other movies.
Probably. All right, so with Leto's Joker in this new trailer, he does look pretty damaged at one point in the end. I already know the answer, I think, but you don't think they'd actually kill off Joker, do you?
No, not definitively. They could do the "is he dead" way. But no.
The hand coming up out of the water at the end?
No
or
way.
Actually like Batman 89.
Because from what, yes, Batman is in this movie to some extent. Like he's on top of the car. We see him leaping. From what I'm guessing.
Looks like he saves Harley Quinn out of the water, too.
But I'm guessing Affleck probably just shot a day or two as Bruce Wayne, and that's not him in the costume.
Yeah, no.
It's Batman. They need to have Joker versus Batman in a Batman movie eventually. Right. And so, no, there's no way he actually dies. But hell, we might as well say that it was funny because can we talk about Batman vs Superman spoilers at this point? Actually,
yeah. What the hell?
All right.
Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning.
Just the fact that Henry Cavill was like on set of Justice League in the again, it's not like it's a secret, but he's on the set of Justice League in the footage at CinemaCon they had from the set. So I was like, look, guys, it's comic book world, and we're not killing our marquee characters off.
Right. Do you think there's been some speculation and stuff that they might, that basically it's going to be evil Superman and Justice League and they team up to take him down? Doesn't that just seem like one more sort of F-you Superman from Zack Snyder?
I think that's where it's coming from, is people go, at this point, given how they betrayed Superman, wouldn't it be at this point perfect if he came back as like the villain of this movie?
Didn't Injustice do that?
Yeah, I think they might have. Yeah. I don't know if that's right. And I think it's all stemming from that joke but at the same time, you're kind of like, well, these movies have not been the best for Superman. So I don't think there's any real credence to it, and I hope it's not actually the case. All the only thing Snyder...
Cut to the first trailer.
Yeah, right.
Superman just wiping everyone out.
Right. Well, now I've joked that this...
He evaporates the ocean and Aquaman's down there flopping
From what
around.
we've seen of Batman and Superman, they're just going to be ordering that every hero kill left and right. This is going to be a merciless Justice League.
Yeah, exactly. Flash just goes out in a horrible way. But what do you think of sort of the way that the DCEU now is shaping up? I mean, there are rumors that, Flash, and I think we talked a little bit about this last week, but Cyborg may be showing up in the Flash's movie. Are you now seeing, this latest stuff from Suicide Squad? Do you have more faith or less faith in where DC movies are going?
I'm hopeful and excited to see non-Zack Snyder movies. I mean, I hate to say it, like, I'm very cynical now about Justice League because for me, he's 0 for 2 in this universe. That's my point of view. So Justice League is the one that I'm like, about, which sucks. I do not want to be bitter and cynical about a Justice League movie. But it's the other stuff. Suicide Squad looks really cool to me, and I hope Wonder Woman's awesome. So that's the stuff where I'm more excited right now.
There was a rumor that in the Justice League movie, Aquaman, the Atlanteans and the Amazons are going to be enemies from some ancient war. So now they're not going to be super friends, but super frenemies.
Right.
So I guess we're going to get scenes of like Wonder Woman slaughtering Atlanteans now. I mean, this thing is just turning into a blood fest.
What if they murdered someone?
She just shows up with mirrors head.
Right.
Boom, Take that back underwater.
The Justice League NC-17 cut is going to be pretty intense.
All right. Well, I think let's give DC here a break and switch to the Pepsi to their Coke, if you will. Let's talk about Marvel. Some Marvel stuff
Although
this
Coke
week.
has the tie-in with Civil War. So.
Ooh. I guess Dr. Pepper did their Coke
there you
then
go,
since
perfect.
BVS had Dr. Pepper. So, all right. So MCU this week, we learned the title of the Spider-Man reboot, the MCU Spider-Man reboot. It's going to be Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, that's a title kind of taken from a comic arc, but it didn't really have any set story except that it takes place after Secret Wars. What do you speculate that title means?
I don't think the title will really have any... I don't think you should look at that comic book for really any major influence. There could be tiny elements they pulled from it. But yeah, we were talking about this with Joshua, who runs IGN Comics, and how it was more of like an overall branding more than like a focused story at the time. So it seems very unlikely that there's any direct story correlation. But I do think, look, that title clearly it's a double meaning because it's
meta.
Well, actually, it's almost a triple meaning. Whatever the title means.
Triple meaning.
Whatever the title could mean in the story. But then, of course, he's a high school Peter Parker, so homecoming, like homecoming dance, and then of course. Spider-Man is back with Marvel, even though he's still Sony. But he's still he's interacting with Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's obviously that, and they even said at CinemaCon, the Sony executive even I think addressed that.
Yeah, so just the fact that Sony showed a clip from a Disney movie at
they
their
showed a Civil War
CinemaCon, and like, well, we're in it now.
Right.
Now, I have seen Captain America: Civil War.
I'm so jealous.
Well, my review, by the time we are done recording
While
this, my
we're
review will
recording
be up. This might be your last chance to see me alive before people attack me for giving it a good review.
Because you said it was the worst movie ever and you hated it more than anything you've ever seen?
You took the words right out of my mouth. Now, we're not getting into spoilers. The movie is still a few weeks away
at all. If he gets into spoilers.
But we know from the trailers, there's that sequence at an airport in Germany,
which is
where
the
Spidey shows
sequence
up.
I was on the set for.
Yeah, and we see Spidey show up for that. This isn't a spoiler to say, Spider-Man is a supporting player in this movie. I wonder if Homecoming doesn't refer to him coming home from, if it doesn't directly pick right up after the events of Civil War, and he's come home now, his first kind of interaction with superheroes, and and he's, seen them all in action now.
Like,
how does that
quadruple meaning?
a quadruple meaning, people? That was the original subtitle. But like, think about it. You come home. How can you ever quite be a normal kid again after seeing the Avengers, in action?
Yeah. No, I think that I some people don't like the title. I like the title. I mean, I shouldn't say I love the title, but I think as far as being a interesting title that has many meanings you can put on it, all of which are probably appropriate in some way.
Yeah.
I think it's like
It's better than The Amazing Spider-Man 3. I'll say that.
It's definitely better than The Amazing Spider-Man 3. I mean, I would have. It's funny because the logo, the coloring of the logo, the shape of the Spider-Man. Here, I'm getting so minutiae of logos here.
Right.
The shape of the logo of Spider-Man kind of looks like the original Amazing Spider-Man comic book logo.
Yeah, it did.
But the coloring is the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series coloring with the yellow and red.
They're going for the multi-generational appeal there, though, which is very subtle and sneaky on their part, right?
But it is subtle and sneaky. But as someone, again, anytime I can mention how great Spectacular Spider-Man was, if you've never seen the animated series, you should watch it. So anything that evokes that makes me happy. And that was such a great depiction of a high school age Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That the Amazing movies pulled a little bit from. The depiction of Gwen as like a fellow science geek comes from that a lot.
Yeah.
But there's still plenty more they could pull from that animated series.
All I'll say is Tom Holland's great as Spider-Man. I thought he stole the show.
Yeah, keep hearing that.
Big thumbs up on that. Love that he's a kid and they get that whole vibe right. MCU also dropped our first trailer this week for Doctor Strange, a movie I'm really stoked about. However, the trailer has not actually gone over gangbusters with everyone. Terry Schwartz couldn't make it today on the podcast, but she wondered to me whether or not people who aren't already geeks and don't kind of know Doctor Strange, what do they get from this? What is sort of the will they get it? What are they selling here?
Yeah, I was debating this with her a bit because, I am a lifelong Marvel geek. I know very much who Doctor Strange is. But I will say, I showed that trailer to my wife, who has a cursory knowledge of Doctor Strange. She could recognize him, but she doesn't really know anything about his story. And I think she was excited. She loved the trailer, and I think it was just because she's the Marvel movies. She's way into Marvel movies. She loves Benedict Cumberbatch, and the imagery, while yes, completely out of context, just look cool to her, you know? It's very much a teaser. It does not tell you what is going on, that's for sure. But I do think it's a testament to Marvel has a brand at this point that I think most people go, interesting. I don't think it's going to go, oh my God, I have to see that. But I think the Marvel name and the imagery, which I think is cool because it doesn't look like every other Marvel movie, will make people intrigued. And then, yes, it'll be on the other trailers and ads to really tell you what the story is more.
All right. Did you have any nitpicks with it? I had a couple. Okay. One, and a lot of people have pointed out that Benedict Cumberbatch doing his American accent basically sounds like Hugh Laurie as Dr. House. I didn't like the accent. I thought it sounded like the way that Americans try to do English accents, and it sounds bad. I don't believe in chakras, and it's it didn't work for me because I'm trying to imagine the spells, and Benedict Cumberbatch has a great voice. That's one of his trademarks, and to take that away, especially when you're going to be by the hoary host of Helgath or whatever, hearing that in his voice, and then by the hoary host of Helgath, it's a totally different thing to me. And then I thought the color palette was surprisingly muted for a comic that was so kind of trippy and gaudy and stuff, and that's one of the things I loved about it. That, and it was this sort of I was raised Catholic, and to me it was it was almost like a forbidden fruit because they dealt with demons and all that stuff. So I really I was looking for more of that stuff in there. But overall, that looked cool. I can't wait to see it. But any nitpicks?
The accent was interesting only because we didn't know until we saw the footage of what accent he'd be using, although, Doctor Strange is typically American. I have a feeling when he's delivering those spells, he won't sound like that. And that, well, first of all, magic gives you a British accent. I don't know if you know that.
Well,
as he learns magic, now, I do think that there will be something more of sort of.
In order to save his hands, he had to become British.
He goes, "What happened to you, Stephen?" No, I do think
it's Harry now.
By the time he's delivering the actual spells, I have a feeling he'll have a different sort of tone to him from it. I see what what you mean about the look of it, because the comics they're so sort of you think of the Ditko stuff and just how psychedelic and trippy it was.
Yeah.
I hope but I hope that we haven't seen everything yet. Like, we're just sort of, because I got excited by that part where she kind of pushes him into his astral projection.
It was kind of Matrix-y.
It's people were saying Matrix and Inception, which I think
there's
is
a
valid.
real Nolan influence, because that muted kind of thing did remind me a bit of Batman Begins.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, here's a little note. Batman Begins was scripted by David Goyer years before, and I had read this script years before. It was David Goyer wrote a Doctor Strange origin movie back when I think it was at like New Line or something, and because he'd done a bunch of horror movies for them.
Yeah.
And it's basically his Doctor Strange script was Batman Begins. I mean, all that stuff with the way they did Ra's al Ghul and that was all in the Doctor Strange script. So when I was watching Batman Begins, I'm like, holy crap, if they ever do Doctor Strange, I don't know how they're going to do it, because they basically just used that whole bit.
Which, to be fair, though, the Doctor Strange comic book origin, which came from the 60s, Batman Begins is kind of similar to, like, that whole, like, where he travels and all.
Yeah.
I definitely think, though, it does have an Inception vibe and look. You mentioned you mentioned that when you even saw the production art at D23, I remember.
Yeah.
But, look, I'm not like, oh my God, it looks just like it. I'm more like, hey, that's cool because it doesn't look like all the other Marvel movies. Like, it doesn't look like, oh, another Avenger is being introduced.
This time, a city's not falling from the sky; it's falling upside down from the sky.
A city's falling on itself.
No, I think it's. I can't wait to see it. I think it's. I'm really stoked for it. Some folks have, and this has been an issue for a while that we've talked about in the show. This sort of the whitewashing of a lot of it, and it's still with the trailer. There's been a vocal backlash against it with basically a lot of the tropes and just the fact that I think one comment I saw was, why couldn't, if you're going to do this, why couldn't you get Michelle Yeoh to be Ancient One, and that you never see Wong in the trailer, and it looks like they go to China and there's only like most of the characters are white or black.
Yeah, it's like white guy goes to Asia and learns mysticism from a white woman. It's so tricky, and I don't have here's the definitive answer, because you are dealing with like the Ancient One.
Well, you're the spokesperson for the Asian American community, Eric. So,
it is that tricky thing, of course, because the Doctor Strange origin story and the depiction of the Ancient One in the comics is steeped in stereotypes of the time, and so
Iron Man had it too. The old Iron Man comics.
Yeah. And so how do you tweak that? What's the right amount? Do you try to just be like, hey, well, our old Asian master who teaches our white hero will feel different, or do you say we don't want to do that because it won't feel different? It's really tricky. But it is, at a point where it's like, okay, hopefully we get some actual like Asian hero Marvel movie characters. It's funny. Shield. People have noted like the two main female lead characters, arguably, two of the three main on Agents of Shield are played by Asian actresses. So on the TV side, they're doing better, and they actually cast an Asian actress as Colleen Wing on Iron Fist. Hopefully the movies can catch up a little bit.
I believe Elodie Young is
she's half Asian. I believe. Yeah.
So I mean, it would be interesting to see kind of Doctor Strange, whether or not, and I wonder, and this actually ties into a reader email. Marvel is does great business in China. Their films actually perform better than DC's movies.
Although
do over
Zootopia just became the #1 American movie ever in China, beating out Age of Ultron, I believe.
Well now. So we actually have a reader email that I'm going to get to here, but and we've speculated about this before, but I wonder if the fact that now Doctor Strange, I don't think he actually goes to Tibet in the movie. I could be wrong, because China and Tibet, Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about, but not a lot of love lost there. If they're not kind of changing things or censoring themselves because they don't want to offend.
He goes to Chinatown in New York.
Exactly. But we have a reader email from Dana, who wrote in, Why is the Chinese market suddenly-ish so important to movie box offices? It seems like their importance to money totals haven't always been as important of a factor as it is now. Is it just that I haven't been paying attention, or are there other factors that are newish that have been contributing to their importance? Just curious. Well, it's because the market has been opened up.
Yeah, because you have like this billions of people who were they would not, China wouldn't release American movies in the past.
Yeah.
And they're still very specific, like Deadpool, right? Didn't get released there. So they still are specific about which ones they'll take. But only in recent years did they agree to start releasing way more American movies. So suddenly access to one of the world's largest populations opened up.
It's the second largest, for now, movie market in the world. It will surpass the U.S. probably next year. I mean, the amount of legwork that Hollywood has been doing the last 5 years, building theaters over there, like up to date, like, you know, cinema kind of experience for folks, and the amount of investment that's been going on over there. Like Legendary Pictures was bought by a Chinese conglomerate, Chinese conglomerate, I think, is it AMC they own now or something? It's the same parent company now that just bought Legendary. So you're going to see increasingly the movies that Hollywood makes taking that into consideration. So I am curious with Doctor Strange, how will it play in China? And are there going to be different maybe reflections of that movie for Chinese marketing and stuff?
We talked about this though a bit even when Force Awakens came out, because which only did okay in China, and we were saying Force Awakens was the first Star Wars movie to be released in Chinese theaters. You know? So even as recent as the prequels, which don't forget only ended in 2005, those weren't released in Chinese movie theaters.
Right.
So this is just in the past decade, and really the past 5 years, like you said, that this has all shifted, and that's why it's suddenly. It's just, if you're a studio and you see this incredibly huge market suddenly open up to you, it makes a difference.
Yeah, and it reminded me of a comment by a blogger in our scene when we got out of the Civil War screening, because I just kind of, just pointed out, I wonder if Chinese audiences will be confused by the inclusion of Spider-Man and the way that, we had heard reports of, and BVS, people like, in China were like, who is female Superman and why are they fighting? And I thought this guy's remark was telling in a lot of ways and really arrogant. He's like, I think he said basically, who gives a shit what they think in China? And I'm like, boy, you're really going to be out of touch real soon, because I think you have to pay attention to, these movies aren't just made for us, and they're not just made for fanboys. This is a very expensive movie. It has to play to everybody. Yeah. And I simply pointed out, like, I wonder how this will play. And they get that sort of, from an American blogger, sort of just dismissive reaction, I think, is not forward thinking in terms of how you have to look at this industry.
And then, again, this goes back to the fact that as much as people might not want to think about this, these are all these movies we love, made by giant companies who need to make a lot of money to, justify their jobs, justify to shareholders, justify to everyone. And so if you're just ignoring China or saying, who cares what China thinks? Like, you're not playing the game. And you will be out of a job if you were a head of a studio saying, who cares what China thinks? Like, you're not going to last.
Yeah, exactly. So that's Doctor Strange. Now, we also had, what am I forgetting? Talked about Doctor Strange, Spider-Man title, Suicide Squad, Batman.
I don't think there was anything else Marvel.
Okay, I think we covered all that.
Yeah.
Let's any big lingering questions about Star Wars Rogue One, or I have a feeling with May the 4th now, just a few weeks away. Episode 8.
That was a title. That was a word slip.
This is going to be a GIF. So with Episode 8, coming next year, do you think May the 4th we'll see the first trailer?
I don't think trailer. I think I can't remember if we
even an announcement.
It's funny that I always forget what we talked about, like here versus just in the office. But so if I'm repeating myself and keeping it real, I apologize. But just, I do think that they need to stay on the messaging, and we've had a lot of conversations about how much people might not even understand that Rogue One when it takes place in the timeline. So I don't think they want to muddy the water yet with like, here's a trailer for the sequel to Force Awakens that some people already think Rogue One is.
Yes.
But something, an on the set video we talked about, some sort of, a character reveal.
How about just Luke saying one line? I think it would be interesting if they just did the whole thing of her offering him the lightsaber. He's just like, thanks. That's the,
I cracked up at there was a meme going around this past week with him saying, there was a hand with that.
Did you find that? Kind of miss it. Yeah.
But yes, I don't think it'll be a trailer yet, even a teaser trailer. But there's plenty they could reveal, including like a first cast photo. Finding out who Laura Dern and Benicio del Toro play.
Right.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
of
it would
things.
be interesting to find out. I mean, Benicio del Toro is playing a villain. We know that much. Do you think he is a first order villain, or could he be sort of the in Force Awakens, though, like Snoke says to Kylo Ren, you got to finish your training. If he's going to be sort of like the evil Yoda, if you will, like while, let's say, Rey is taken under the wing of Luke.
So you don't think Snoke will do that directly? He'll have an in-between?
I mean, he's going to have to get off that chair.
I mean, this goes into a whole other thing, but we've talked about this a bit, but it's like, because we don't know. Snoke and Ren never refer to themselves as Sith. All we know are the Knights of Ren.
Right.
So if they don't follow the whole rule of two thing, then yeah, I guess anything is on the table as far as like, there could be, Snoke could have someone who's in between him and Kylo Ren,
Right.
There's all sorts of different hierarchy if you're not playing by that rule of two thing, which doesn't sound like they are.
Yeah, I was just actually checking to see if there was any reader email about that, but no. Now, there was one other thing, though, this week is that Daisy Ridley shot down the idea that, that her parentage is this big deal, or that Jyn Erso, the protagonist of Rogue One, is her mom.
I'm so happy she did that.
I know, right? Let's just put an end to that.
Yeah.
That or she's lying.
Yeah.
And she already learned to lie like every other actor.
I would hope not. Not sweet Daisy. Not
her.
Although she could kick my ass. Have you seen her Instagram videos?
She's got the guns now, man.
Man, it's really impressive.
Yeah.
I think I'm glad that it's interesting.
Getting in that Lara Croft shape, though.
Yeah. She pretty much shot down that whole idea of Felicity Jones's character being her mom.
Yeah.
And then she almost inferred that it might not be anyone of significance, which is what I think it should be too.
Right.
We've talked about this, but it's like, there's enough. I do think that there's a proud tradition in Star Wars of the family connections, but at a certain point, if everyone's connected to things, it makes the universe too small. But also, the Skywalker family shouldn't be the reason for every cool Jedi and every powerful person. So if Rey's parents are just Rey's parents, if they're just Jebediah,
Jebediah Ray.
Right, and Martha.
I hope so. I hope they go there.
That's fine by me, who had a very powerful daughter. So
do you think that we're going to get any sort of midichlorian explanation?
Here's what I think. You will not hear the word midichlorian stated ever again in a Star Wars movie, but you could say that. If someone were to take Rey's midichlorian count, it would clearly be very high. Clearly, it would be very high.
Oh, hey, by the way, I had somebody at Lucasfilm, because I had to ask after all the crap I've heard from people.
Yeah.
It is pronounced, the Snowwalkers are pronounced AT-ATs,
Yes.
not AT-ATs.
I know, but I still want to call them AT-ATs.
I don't see why I can't say AT-AT.
You can say whatever you want.
You know what?
It's
For
America.
years and years and years, they never clarified how you said that.
Yeah.
So to get crap over saying AT-ATs, really? Come on.
AT-ATs, man.
You know what? You know what I bet Harrison Ford says? I don't give a damn.
He says, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't read about Star Wars.
It really means nothing to me.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty much the week in Star Wars as well. Now coming up this week also is the release of the Jungle Book, which is tracking at about 70 million opening. Great news for Disney. They're already putting Jungle Book 2 in the works.
The reviews are great.
Yeah, and our own Terry Schwartz gave it an 8.6, called it a visual wonder. And I have not seen it yet. I want to. I saw Snow White in the Huntsman sequel, The Huntsman Winter's War. And the review of that will be going up next week. There's no embargo right now, so what I can say is that basically they're stealing from Disney on this one big time. Emily Blunt basically plays Elsa from Frozen.
It looks like Frozen.
And Jessica Chastain is playing Merida from Brave. They have her with knives and thing. No, her weapon in the movie is bow and arrow, and she never misses. And she has red curly hair and a Scottish accent. She's Merida.
Yeah, I'm not hearing good things about this movie, but it's
yeah, it's not that good. I can say that.
The cast, especially this trio of female actresses, is so impressive.
Yeah.
That I wish this was like the best movie ever because
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, you can tell, and it's also funny too, like how you never. You get a glimpse of Kristen Stewart's Snow White in like the opening montage, which I think that the movie is narrated by Liam Neeson, which is really strange. I can't remember if he narrated the first one or not, but if he narrated it, I feel like I'm in Narnia when I'm hearing him. It's like Aslan takes you to Snow White country, but you don't really see Kristen Stewart at all really in the movie. She's referred to, but it's really weird because they make references to Snow White and they're like, yeah, but we're not going to show you her.
Right.
You know, she's just down over there. You just missed her.
She's got a thing, yeah.
You know, so yeah, that's coming up next week, and then Batman v Superman is beginning to really drop off at the box office now. The Boss, the Melissa McCarthy movie, I called it, beat it at the box office last weekend. So I think, and that's just edging up to like or 300 million now. So Deadpool is going to end up having made more money than it.
Domestically.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty amazing. Like
nobody saw that one coming.
No. That's not the. No, it's not. Fox didn't see it coming. Warner Brothers didn't see it coming.
I mean, do we think then could we see DC movies try to be a little cheaper going forward after Justice League?
I don't know. I mean, these movies are inherently expensive, especially ones that involve Batman and Superman. But and again, I don't want to repeat too much of what we said last time, but I would just say, obviously, it's too late for them to completely just halt or stop or change all their plans. But there has to be discussions, no matter what face they put on everything, and no matter how happy they say they are with everything right now. Just the overall approach, the criticism of a lot that came on Batman vs Superman about the tone and the feel and the approach, and is this what people want? And I will say, and again, box office, mainstream, is this what audiences want to see from a movie about these characters and on a mass level? Which again, these movies have to be mass level hits. These are not made for like niche little audiences.
Yeah, you have to speak to, you have to get them coming back. It's not enough to have a big opening weekend and some bragging rights or a few records broken. You need to maintain audience appetite because you're trying to build up an entire series here.
Yeah, and I have no doubt, look, and this is not to put a spotlight on this movie, because almost every big tentpole movie you can think of is being rewritten as it's being made, right?
Yeah.
Almost everyone. That being said, I'm sure Justice League is getting some pointed rewrites right now.
It's now Filmman.
Yeah, maybe less murder.
Maybe more murder.
Right,
maybe we double down on that.
Right. Snyder's like, I'll show them all.
I will kill each one of them.
Right.
All right. Well, I think that'll about do it for this week's show. Find us on Twitter at the Eric Goldman, at Jim Vavida. Send us your thoughts at keepinitreal@ign.com. Check us out on multiple platforms, including PS4 and Xbox and Roku.
I love when people check out my multiple platforms.
He's so dirty. I don't know I even know what that means. Anyhow.
You'll figure it out.
It'll hit me later. It's just weeks away now from that. So, all right. So give us a shout out in the comments about what you think about the Doctor Strange trailer and all the stuff we talked about this week. And for all things movies, keep it here on IGN.